Rosh Hashanah literally means head of the year in Hebrew. In the Torah, we read, in the 7th month, Tishrei, on the first day of the month, there shall be a sacred assembly, a cessation from work, a day of commemoration proclaimed by the sound of the shofar. The Hebrew calendar dates the Jewish New Year according to the ancient rabbinic understanding of when the world was created. Besides celebrating the world's birthday, Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of a 10-day period of soul-searching that concludes with Yom Kippur. Tradition tells us that on Rosh Hashanah, the names of the righteous are inscribed in the Book of Life, guaranteeing another year of life. Traditionally, we are given the period of 10 days, the days of awe, to make amends for our transgressions. By Yom Kippur, it is believed that, having made amends, our acts of repentance will make for a good new year. Now, throughout the days of repentance, it is common to greet each other with a saying, Lashana Tovah, which means for a good year. Lashana Tovah. Let us greet each other with these words right now as we are beloved community. Lashana Tovah.
A very beautiful hymn by Louis Lewandowski, number 219, in your gray hymnal, O Hear My People. Please rise in body or in spirit.
O hear my people, hear me well. I have no need for sacrifice, but mercy loving kindness shall alone for life and good suffice. Then source of peace, lead us to peace, a place profound and holy true, and lead us to a mastery, or drives in us that war pursue. May deeds we do inscribe us as blessings in the book of life. O source of peace, lead us to heal. O source of peace, lead us from strife.
Let us read responsively. Judaism begins with the commandment, "Hear, O Israel," but what does that really mean, to hear?
The person who attends a concert with his mind on business hears, but does not really hear.
The person who walks amidst the songs of birds and thinks only of what he will have for dinner, hears but does not really hear.
The woman who listens to the news and only thinks about how it will affect the stock market hears but does not really hear.
The person who stifles the sound of her conscience and tells herself she has already done enough hears but does not really hear.
People who hear the sound of the shofar and do not feel the need to change their ways hear but do not really hear.
As the new year begins, strengthen our ability to hear.
May we hear the music of the world and the infant's cry and the lover's sigh.
May we hear the call for help of the lonely soul and the sound of the breaking heart.
May we hear the words of our friends and also their unspoken pleas and dreams.
May we hear within ourselves the yearnings that are struggling for expression.
Our next hymn is Oseh Shalom. It is in 3 parts. The first part's at the beginning. The second part's at the end of the second line, Yaseh Shalom, and the third part is the bottom 2 lines. It's going to be the first part, the second part, the third part, and then the second part again. 1, 2, 3, 1. Just follow along. You're going to be fine. We're all going to find the end together. Please rise in body, or in spirit.
Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu. Al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
The person who walks amidst the sound of birds and only thinks of what he will have for dinner hears, but does not really hear. People who hear the sound of the shofar and do not feel the need to change their ways hear, but don't really hear. As the new year begins, strengthen our ability to hear. And that's the prime purpose of holy days. People will do with them what they will, but if we engage holy days as they want to be engaged, our ability to hear what needs to be heard is strengthened. That is what the piercing sound of the shofar is all about. That is what the sweetness of apples dipped in honey is all about. And that is also what is about the annual retelling of the biblical story, the Quranic story of Sarah giving birth to Isaac. Now, you would think that the story from the Torah to be retold on Rosh Hashanah would be the one from Genesis, the creation of our universe, majestic, with lines like, "And God said, let there be light," with brilliant, with refrain after refrain of, "And God saw that it was good." Yet Rosh Hashanah, even as it commemorates the birthday of the world, puts particular and special emphasis on the birthday of the human world, the birthday of history. That's what Sarah's giving birth to Isaac is really all about. And so that's the Toranic story that gets the annual retelling this time of year. The context is this. Long after the flood, long after Noah, God spoke to a faithful man named Abram and said, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household. Go to this land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and those who curse you I will curse. And all the peoples of this earth, they will be blessed through you." Abram was supposed to have been 75 years old when God said all of this to him. And God kept on saying it to him in one place and then in another throughout his and Sarai's long journey. But despite all the assurances, Sarai, equally aged, remained infertile. The infertility would not budge. And it goes on and on like this for 25 years. 25 years. And then look who steps into their lives again. God. He just pops right in again like a broken record. Like a broken record. God repeats the promise that just drives them into despair. He repeats the promise. And to make the deal even stronger, what he does is he changes their names. The name Sarai becomes Sarah. The name Abram becomes Abraham. And those are the names we know them by today. "This is my covenant to you," says the God of all creation. "This is my covenant to you." And Abraham counters this with silent laughter. I mean, after all the years and all the promises, what else could he possibly do? As the Torah puts it, Abraham fell face down. He laughed. He said to himself, "Will a son be born to a man who's over 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? How possibly can the birth of anything new come from parents so completely worn out?" That's their self-estimation, so completely worn out. The story of promise and perplexity continues with the appearance one day of 3 visitors near Abraham's tent. It's hot outside, and Abraham is moved by the sacred and ancient law of hospitality to refresh those visitors with food and drink and rest. And the dialogue between them, as the Torah captures it, appears a bit confused, since sometimes it seems to be a conversation between Abraham and human beings, and other times it's a conversation between Abraham and the Lord. And so here is what we read in the Torah. "Where is your wife Sarah?" the visitors asked Abraham. "There, in the tent," he said. Then the Lord said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." Now, Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already old, well advanced in years, and Sarah way past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed out loud as she thought, "After I am worn out and my master is old, will I now have this pleasure?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh out loud and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am this old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord?" He says, "I will return to you at the appointed time next year. Sarah gonna have a son." I just added that last part. The Bible's far more articulate. Sarah was afraid. She was afraid. She said she lied. She said, "Oh, I did not say that." The Lord said, "Yes, you did laugh." Yes, you did. That's the story from the Torah. Now, at this point, you may be asking yourself, why is the Lord giving Sarah such a hard time about laughing? Because Abraham laughed too. He laughed too. Feels just a little patriarchal. Just a little. But, on the other hand, Abraham's laughter was way more modest than Sarah's. Nothing modest about Sarah's laughter at all. It was loud enough to be heard outside of the tent, and as I hear it in my imagination, it is buzzsaw loud. Buzzsaw loud. It is snorted out loud. It is uppity loud. It is no holds barred loud. It is loud in a way that basically thumbs the nose at the author of all creation. Just like that. Just like, ha ha ha. And you know, why not? Why not? It is Sarah's body that's at issue here, and she gets to have a clear opinion about that. It's her body. It is her body, and she knows her body intimately. She lives with it every day, obviously. It's her body. So she gets to have an opinion. She is downright skeptical. The whole idea of her, that she has of herself, she's just worn out. She's infertile. It just feels like a cruel joke that God is perpetrating. It drives her, as I said, into despair. She's just bone tired of all the promises that she has heard, yada, 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 throughout the long years. And here's where this story might touch our own. Ask yourself, is there something happening in your life right now that feels just like Sarah's body? Is there something happening that feels just like that? And you are seeing things through Sarah's eyes. What's on your mind is what's on Sarah's mind. Overlay this story upon your own life. Is there resonance? Is there an echo? Can you relate? Promises are set before us. Promises that justice is going to roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Promises of happiness and well-being in our families. Promises that we can be happy and feel well in our own lives. Rosh Hashanah is yet one of these promises, that hope can be reborn to us in a new year. But you know, we've heard all the promises before. We know very well all the times that these promises did not come true for us. And we also well know how we can be our own worst enemies. The renewal doesn't come because we simply do not do the soul searching necessary to pave the way for that renewal. We are not honest with ourselves. In a time for truth, we do not ask ourselves the hard questions that need to be asked. We do not ask those questions. This is why, at the thought of new birth, at the thought of renewal in a new year, all we might want to do is just laugh. That's it. Just like Sarah, be buzzsaw loud with our laughter, snorted out loud, uppity loud, no holds barred loud, just like her. And say, in a way that fits our own unique situation, after I am worn out and my master is old, will I now have this pleasure? Why don't y'all give me a big Sarah laugh right now? Ha ha ha! A little more cynical, less laughter, less joyousness, more cynicism. It's good. It's good. It's good. Oh, I heard a hee hee over here. It's okay. It's good. But you know what? We look ahead with hope, giving thanks for the daily miracle of renewal, for the promise of good to come. Rosh Hashanah wants to strengthen our capacity to hear our inner Sarah, and then to hear beyond that, to the renewal that did and does happen against all odds. Don't get me wrong, I love Sarah. I am Sarah. And you are Sarah too. Each and every one of you is Sarah. All that grit, all that spunk keeps us grounded, keeps us real, but we cannot stop there. We must never forget how the story ends for Sarah and how it can end for us. Years of infertility, years of grinding and hopelessness. It cannot stop the miracle. God makes the seemingly infertile fertile. Isaac is born. And through him comes an entire nation, a great nation. And even if the story never really happened as it is told, but is merely a sheer mythology of the race, still the greatness of Israel is real. The greatness of the Jewish spirit, you hear it in the music, you hear it in the words. Here and now, we celebrate it, the birthday of a people and a history against all odds. If Isaac's birth means anything, that's it. Clearly, we don't have the benefit or the challenge of Abraham's God stepping directly into our stories, visiting our tents for food and drink and rest, busting through those doors. We don't have that benefit or challenge of Abraham's God. But for those of us who are God believers of some sort, we know that God is an ever-present source of renewal that is always available to tap into for those who stop long enough to focus and to receive. And for all of us, God believer or not God believer, we are healed. We are made whole by the power of friendship, the energy of compassion and kindness, the grace of the world's beauty, the wisdom of teachers around us and those who have gone on before us, the gifts of traditions like Judaism, which our precious Unitarian Universalist religion opens us up to, says to us, receive this, receive this. Rosh Hashanah says, new birth can happen. Now, what that's going to look like exactly may very well end up being different from what is expected. There's something very important about this to acknowledge. A dear friend of mine puts it like this: the universe is a fantastic gift giver, but it is a terrible, terrible gift wrapper. Terrible, terrible gift wrapper. Right now, life might feel as dry and as infertile as Sarah's body. And your mind might be just as jaded and cynical as hers. But that's how renewal begins. That's where renewal begins, in the places which feel the most impossibly stuck. So I'm asking you, stay in your game. I'm asking you that. Stay curious about what happens next in your life. Stay patient for the time when the birth is going to happen and the child's cry will pierce the deadening silence, and you will have just come through the valley of the shadow of death, and you will enter into your sweetness, the very life of life. The life that is more than you could have possibly imagined. That is where you will be. Be patient for it. Believe in it. The name Isaac. Do you know what it literally means? Don Milton III, don't say anything. Isaac. Isaac means laughter. It means laughter. Laughter that begins with surprise. Laughter that turns cynical and buzzsaw loud and cranky and unhappy and full of despair. Laughter that ends up sweet and joy-filled and deep. And that is the laughter I wish for you and for me and for everyone in this new year. Lashana Tova to you.